let's jump straight into it. My name is Michael, country manager for Ireland. I'm responsible for the company's international expansion. I'll keep it very short and sweet, but a little bit on my background so you know who's talking, right? So I worked for companies like EMC Storage, Trend Micro Cybersecurity, and SolarWinds monitoring software. And I have a small business myself. So personal interest in this webinar as well. So we have a few topics today. I will handle 4 items and Alessandro after that, as Ruud said, and then we have a demo from Marta. So we'll start with numbers. Marta, if you can go to the slide with numbers there. Yeah. So before we dive into this, this is the first demo in a webinar in West Africa. We have just heard the numbers there from Ruth, which are quite high. Unfortunately, they are worldwide. In Nigeria, they peak even higher than the rest. So, but that's why we are quite interested in this area because we think we can add value here. We can help SMBs. Now, we often try to often customize our content a bit to the region. So yesterday I was doing some research going through articles, and one of the articles that catched my eye was the one in the Guardian. And I'll quote, because that kind of sparked my interest. Cyber attacks on Nigerian SMEs are up by 89% in 2022. Now, this was a research from Kaspersky, one of the big cybersecurity companies, in line with McAfee, Trend Micro, etc. Right now, obviously there are different reasons for this high numbers, but after the pandemic, we can see the trend during the pandemic from employees moving from offices to home working, hybrid models. So that brought a lot of unforeseen or new challenges to a lot of SMB companies, which might have contributed to openings in their cybersecurity defense, right? So if we take that number 89%, that's yeah, obviously quite high. So if you take this to the broader perspective, our marketing team has went through quite a few articles in Forbes and summarized the main points in terms of numbers, the why and the what. SMBs are targeted by hackers, and we made that in the presentations for you. Now we'll share this presentation, obviously. Our team Ha-Shem will share this presentation after the webinar as well, so you have something to refer to, because due to the time, we'll not tap into every item, obviously. Now, if we zoom into this particular slide, I'll just handle a few there. 66% of SMBs have experienced cyber attacks on their businesses in the last 12 months. I personally know 2 business owners who were dealing with cyber attacks. They were not happy. 30% of the attacks happened to stolen devices and credentials. 57% of the attacks were through phishing emails and social engineering. Now, we probably all get those emails. I get them in my private inbox, in the work inboxes. A lot of them look very amateuristic. However, some of them are quite good. So even somebody with a trained eye can be fooled, right? We're only human. On the average of roughly 8 hours of downtime to fix problems as a result of malicious attack, 30% of the businesses, which for some of them basically means yeah, end of the business. Okay, Marta, if you can go to the next slide there. Thank you. So, okay, why SMBs are more of interest to hackers? Now, if I look at my own experience here, as I've worked in large corporates like Dell, EMC now Dell, SolarWinds, but I also own a small website company. So I've seen the 2 sides of the business. So let's pick out a few, okay? So if we have a look at here, 52% of the SMBs don't have an IT security expert in house. Now, obviously, it's much easier to target a business owner than a large enterprise who have an IT department, often with dedicated resources to focus on IT security. They think about long and short-term strategies to prevent a data loss. Now, business owners might obviously do the best, but often they are go back there, but often they have lack of resources there. Can you go to the next page there, Marta? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so a lot of larger enterprises have the between bracket luxury to use different vendors for critical infrastructure, which means that if part of their IT stacks is compromised, not the entire stack is compromised, right? Which is obviously a reduce of risk. Um, 91% of small businesses are ran for cyber incidents, and they don't have liability insurance. Now, obviously, this comes to budget as well, right? Budget knowledge awareness. Now, year by year, larger companies have flat budgets or increasing budgets of their cybersecurity budget, but small businesses often do not have that luxury. So we've seen that only 14% of small businesses, of small business owners, can confidently say, yes, I'm ready for any cyber attack. Fire it off at me, and my policies, my defense tactics are highly effective there. Most of them, including myself, are not in a position to say that, right? Okay, if you can go to the next slide there, Marta. There's one more, I think. Go up. Go one up more. Sorry, Marta. I think we missed a slide there. No, one more. Sorry, there, Marta. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay. So yeah, budget obviously 40%. There's one more slide under this one, Marta. Do you have that one, slide number 5, Marta? Yeah, I don't, that's okay. 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 So limited budget. I have to confess, I also had a limited budget when I started my business many years ago. You're trying to close clients, you have tight margins, yeah, and a lot of things at the same time. So it's always a struggle to get up to date with the latest. It's a constantly changing world. You're trying to do your best in purchasing the right solutions within your available budget, but obviously you can't. You can't have it all, obviously, right? A large enterprise have time to streamline those processes, to streamline the budget, to streamline the solutions they have. So they have a huge advantages that small businesses simply don't have. Okay, so if you go to the next page there, it's about what businesses can do. Yeah, thank you. And the next one. Now, there are a few items here we summarize for small businesses, which does not necessarily have to cost a lot of money or a lot of time, and are relatively easy to implement. Okay, and these are implementable by most SMBs. Now, in my time in Trend Micro, we had a slogan that there's no silver bullet. the advice to clients was to have a multi-layered approach, obviously because of the different types of malicious activity, right? So you can have from scam mails to scam calls to phishing emails, you name it, all kinds of directions it can basically come at you. So to take the first point here, that's probably the oldest in the book, the password policy and authentication. We all know that we don't need to use the same password twice or multiple times, although it still happens a lot. And it's where we can authenticate, two-factor authentication, where we can implement that. Let's do that, right? The second point here is the information security training. A large part of prevention is training and awareness. So if you look at the largest breaches we've seen in the media, they're often as a result of a human error. An employee clicking on the wrong email, leaving their laptop in the train or the taxi, whatever. Now, um, might we even call it an error if an employee is not even aware that they shouldn't click on that particular email, right? So a lot of it is prevention and training, where we can get a long way. Anti-malware protection and firewall. Now, as we all know, there are a lot of paid and unpaid solutions there. Even the unpaid solutions are quite high in quality, some of them. There are a lot of websites where you can compare the pros and the cons, etc., and make a good pick of a good selection of how you can protect your business from anti-malware there. Next one there, Marta. Yeah. So three points there. So the incident response plan, right? So probably most of the SMBs do not have this, simply because a lack of time, sometimes even knowledge. Although I would recommend it to always do it. One, if you want to sleep at night, making sure your customers' data is one protected, but at least that you have something ready when you do get breached, because we don't live in the time anymore that the question is, oh, will I get breached? No, we'll probably get breached, and your customers are going to ask, okay, what is it that you're going to do now? Do you have a plan ready? Are you ready for you want to be in a position to say, okay, yes, Mr. Customer, we have been breached. These are the next steps. What we're going to do, we have a procedure in place. We're going to investigate it. We have policies ready here to close the gaps, basically. And this is what we're going to do. And this is how we're going to communicate for that. Creates trust, prevents loss of face and yeah, trust issues, basically, which can be killing for your business. So yeah, please look at an incident response plan. Okay, so regular data backups. Now, obviously, this is an item Alessandro will jump into. This is where Babylon Cloud is specialized in, of part of our solution is specialized in. So he will talk about this in a bit more detail in a moment. But basically, um, the one item I want to add here is, okay, when you do get breached, question yourself, am I able to get that data back? Do I have a data backup solution? Um, am I ready for that? Okay, so you don't want to be in a position where there is a data breach and there's nothing in place, and you have to tell your client, well, even your own data, sorry, but we lost your data. Yeah, that's unthinkable, obviously. The last point there is penetration testing. Now, just like the trainings, there are a lot of free trainings available, quite some good ones. There are also paid trainings available, just to see where are the vulnerabilities in my organization. Now, as I said, some of them might cost some money, but if you compare that to the potential damage that malicious activity can have on your business, for example, stealing of your data, um, I believe it. Well, the numbers, the data shows it. It's well worth it to invest some time and some money in having a look at these points there. Okay, Marta, can you go to the next page there? Yeah. So, because Babylon Cloud is focused on data, right? Oh, there you go. Sorry, data risk there. Okay. So most of the points here we have I kind of went through already, but let's quickly run through them. Yeah, leave it on there, Marta. Yeah. Thank you. So most of the points we have already discussed here a little bit. I'll just tap into a few points here, which I think are quite important for SMBs, but potential risks, right? So obviously your reputation, as I said, you don't want to be in a position where your data lies in the street, right? And where it's going to be public and you don't have a plan ready. It's going to kill your reputation. And basically business together is about trust. So if they don't trust you, yeah, you can say basically goodbye to your business. Now, the time you spend on recovering in case of a data breach, right? So, have you been breached? How long will it take to find your data, etc., etc.? It's as you saw from the first slide, an average of SMB spent 8 hours plus, which is quite some time. Now, would it not be nice if you have a solution that you can just by a few clicks pull your data back, right? Also towards your customers. Yes, we have been breached, but we're able to pull your data back here very easily without any complications. Now, yeah, I urge small businesses to look into this item. There's a third item there, which is finance. Now, let's say you're attacked by malicious software or ransomware, right? So the options are, okay, if I don't have a backup, I can pay and pray I get my data back. Hopefully I get it back, or I don't get it back. So be prepared for that, yeah, because there are plenty of examples where the SMB business owner wasn't lucky enough to have a backup solution and wasn't prepared for this and had to deal with all the negative effects of losing data. The fourth point there, intellectual property. You don't want your competitor to have access to your latest inventions. Not a good position to be in. And the last point there, lawsuits and fines. Now in Europe, we have strict regulations. I believe that if you do get sued by one of your customers, which you have maybe lose their data, you can get a fine to up to 4% of your annual revenue, which is quite, which can be quite devastating. So yeah, do your the diligence, right? The diligence. You go to the next page, which is for Alessandro. Now, before we move on to Alessandro, being a small company and or a medium-sized company and having no time is no excuse, because there are things that that we as small business owners can do to minimize risk and to be in a much stronger position to fight malicious activities on your business. All right. So I'll leave it up to you, Alessandro. Alessandro is going to tell a bit more about data backup and
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Yes. So, first of all, a couple of words about having a data backup as a general strategy to protect your data. And Michael told you about what's your data about, and in some cases, it is the matter of survival of the company. In the world of today, your data will include all the information you have about your customers, about your business, and how you manage your business, about your suppliers, about all the counterparts and your partners. And putting that at risk could, in many cases, imply to put at risk your whole business. And this is not only about the companies who manage data as their own business, but actually any kind of business today relies heavily on managing the data about production and customers. So now I will tell you a couple of things about relevant items you have to check when looking at a solution which will help you save or restore your data. The first of all being the number of devices you are going to protect. Once upon a time, you were needing just to protect your core computer, a few computers in your company. As of now, what you need to protect is not only all the PCs in your company, but also your mobile. Some of the data you have, the information about your contacts which you have on your mobile, or the file you exchange with your contact, which is something you now do mainly when you're on the move, or by using your mobile devices. Mobile devices are now part of the number of PCs, of computers you are using in your company, and some of your devices include your mobiles. Then the second item is make sure you protect all your data, not only all of your devices, but all your data in each of your device. That may include files which are larger than the usual, than the average, and you will need a solution that not only is protecting all of your devices, but also is not putting any file limit, any file size constraint to the documents you are managing, or the files which are not documents but may be relevant for you. The third one is whether the company, the organization you're relying on to protect and secure your data is actually protecting you as much as it must. We, as you heard, we work in Europe, and Europe decided to give to itself one of the most strict regulations on data protection, and we strictly comply to that. And that means that we took an effort and a commitment not only to defend you from a potential attack from hackers, which remains the most relevant threat to your data, but also from leaks, from unrequired access to your data from others which are not hackers, and of course also from us, meaning that you will need a solution that will commit not only to protect you from third parties, but also that will guarantee the privacy of your data from operators or from the provider of service itself. This is extremely relevant since there are solutions now, especially coming from America, which are not which are more related to the laws enforcement in the US rather than the GDPR, where the American government has the right to access any data from any user at any moment. This is not, for example, happening with any solution complying to GDPR, where where no government has the right to access any data of customers at any time. And for example, this is something, this is one of the commitments we take to any user. So not only defending from hackers, but from the operator and from itself, and from any government requesting access to data of customers. Then a few more items. The first one about any deadline of files. you should make sure that all the data you upload on any of the platform you will choose will guarantee not to cancel any files that you didn't request to erase or to cancel. So there shouldn't be any deadline to the bin. If you put something in the bin, you should be able to get back the file from the same bin without having without fearing that the file you put on the bin is no more there after some time, after more than 1 month. And second, that any file that will be created in more versions, for example, any file that you update and where the versions, the previous versions are kept, will be available to you even in some time, a few weeks, or after a few versions have been created. This is for a reason that it may happen relevant only when it is too late. For example, you may have a chance where you create many versions of a file, and then after a few changes between, for example, a couple of people working on the same file, you realize that a relevant change or a version you wanted to get back was changed so many times that it passed away from a version in history which is too short for you to get back to the previous version. Or if you find out that you had a mistake which made you change a file or have or look for a version which is too old for you to get back. So an infinite version in history will be something that you may appreciate if you happen to be in one of those situations. This may also happen in the case of a hacking attack, since it is not granted that you immediately realize you have been targeted by a hacker attack. The hacker attack may happen today, and they may ask you for a ransom in a week from now. And at that time, it could happen that your venture in history or your bin deadline or doesn't allow you to recover those files which are too old to recover. In this case, you will not have the protection you will need from this kind of attack. Now, I'll tell you briefly about Babylon Cloud as a platform. Babylon Cloud was especially built up to comply to GDPR requirements and is structurally built according to those principles, where the principles are first to allow users to share file, but not to allow any file to be accessed by a user which is not its owner unless the owning user give permission to that. And second, that nobody will be able to access any data if not allowed, and if that data is not directly owned. And third, that every time you choose to delete a file, this is immediately deleted. Finally, that nobody will access your data through the service provider. So what we commit to is that even the operators that will work on the platform will never have access to the data you upload on the platform. The only access will be allowed by the platform itself, where the access to the platform is strictly regulated and logged so that no human can access any data of customers. This is a unique platform for several functionalities. So cloud backup, synchronization of data across multiple devices, sharing data to different users are all allowed as different functionalities of a single product, which is something different from what's happening on other platforms, where you have a product to perform a sync and share, like, for example, Dropbox or OneDrive, or different products to perform a cloud backup and restoring at any previous date, like, for example, Acronis. This is all combined in Babylon Cloud into a single platform, and a platform which is directly available both for PCs and servers and for mobile devices, so that not only it will protect your data and allow you to get back to any previous version, but will allow also a simplification of your sharing files with your colleagues or customers or anybody else outside or inside your organizations, always controlled by the owner of data. This is basically the general mission of Babylon Cloud. So what we do is we collect the data for the users. All the services are based on clients, which are installed on the client platform of the users, being either a server or a PC or a mobile. And these apps perform not only a synchronization, so they allow you to put files on one platform and find the same file on a different platform where you also work, but they also allow you to schedule backups so that they will keep every time updated your your backup on the servers, so that you will never miss to protect one data. You don't have to do that. It will be the client to do that for you, and this will be done and scheduled at the very beginning, but you can change your schedule at any time if you decide to change your scheduling pattern, if you decide to upload a different folder or to protect some other part of your existing device or to add a new device. And Babylon Cloud as a platform includes unlimited devices. So in case you are managing your business server, plus you will have several PCs, a fixed PC, a mobile laptop, plus you will have your smartphone, all of them will be protected based on one single account. The only reason to have one single account with different devices is that we keep the privacy based on the user. So no other user can access the data of a single user, but the single user can have different devices where she can keep all this data or synchronize data across devices. Then we store this data and we commit to the full safety and security of this data. Safety and security may seem the same word. They're actually looking at two different needs. The first, the safety means that we are keeping the integrity of your data. We never lost one single piece of data, one single file. Our task is to redundate so much your data that even in the case of fault, the data is not lost, and we can add additional copies, so they are all each file is always kept safe from any threat. And second, the security. Security looks, rather than integrity, looks at privacy. We will protect it, all the data, from any external threats, menace, coming from everywhere, both hackers, but also governments or whoever else. Nobody will access your data when this is kept safe, because this is part of your freedom as people. We may synchronize data, so we will allow you to keep all your data updated across different devices based on the pattern you choose. So in case you decide, I just want to keep this data on this PC, no problem. But in case you decide to align data across multiple devices, we do that directly and in real time for you. And fourth, we share data. So we will allow, every time you will build up a share, which you can do on Babylon Cloud in two ways. Either you build what we call an active share. So you decide that one folder you have on your PC is always connected and updated on a PC of another person. This other person can be a colleague, can be an external supplier, can be a partner. And the folders you will choose, it will be you to choose those folders. Whenever you add one file on your folder on your PC, so this other person who's getting the share from you will have this file updated directly on his PC, or you can send a link. Of course, when you send a share, this share can be sent in 3 ways. It may be a read-only share, it may be a share with write and read permission, or it may be a share with write, read, and delete permission. In the first case, the user can only read what you put on the share. In the second case, this other person can add a file or modify a file. But if he or she modifies a file, you will always keep the previous version of that file. So there will be no chance to cancel the content of a file just by changing it. Instead, in the case of the read, write, and delete permission, this other person will be, only in this case, will be enabled also to cancel previous versions or to cancel files. And in any case, the owner of the file will be complete master to choose which kind of share on which folder and when to create it, delete this share. Now, one last more thing about a few key characteristics of our platform. The first one, as I said, is it is one platform. So it will be easier to manage. You will not have to manage different features with different platforms. So, for example, one to keep a few files or to sync and share them, while I will use a different platform to backup all my servers. You can have the same platform to do everything, which means you can mix the features. For example, you could have a file server. You could use these file servers backed up to share information and to access on mobiles the relevant files you have. So in our what we hope is that this will give you more freedom to do things and to do things more easily. The second thing is the restore. The restore procedure is very easy, and it is not a restore to the previous version for your files. You could also happen to find out that the attack was performed last week. Well, you can get back to exactly the day, hour, and minute where just a few minutes before the attack was performed, or you can find out that the threat was not a hacker attack, but you may understand that there was a change in your files due to cooperation with one other person that didn't know that information was very relevant. You just get back to the previous version, and you do that very easily. The third one is the time machine. Time machine is actually connected to restore. Before restoring, or apart from restoring, you will be able to access to a web portal where you can navigate your files, but you can not only navigate through your folders, you can also navigate into time, and you get back into time by keeping the same folder and getting back and see how the folder, the device changed into the time, and find out which was the version you were using at that time, or do that not only for one file, but a full folder, and download only the files which are relevant for you at that moment after you see which was the situation of the folder of the devices at the time. Why is this useful? Because you could happen not to know precisely when you have to restore back. You could try to restore at yesterday at 3 p.m., yesterday at 1 p.m. In this way, you know when to get back to what time to restore by looking and just navigating into time all your files for your devices. By using this kind of platform, your files are always available, but only to you. Meaning, you may happen to have as a kind of tool to share files in your business and as a shared disk. You're missing two things when you're using this kind of tool. The first one is that it is available only while you are in your office. The second one is that it has no versioning. And third, that those files, in case of an attack, are always lost. In this case, you mix all the needs. So you have all your files, which may be shared, which will be available from everywhere, because you can also access from mobile or from home, or even when you are traveling for work or for any other reasons. And while they are protected, they are always available. This is working for unlimited devices, and this is kept with the highest level of security, not only for as the data are kept with of course the latest updates of the technology, but only with the encryption while the files are moved. They are of course encrypted by using HTTPS with the best level of AES cryptography, and once they are uploaded on the server, they are kept safe, encrypted, and divided into chunks so that nobody else, which is not the system itself, can combine themselves to access them anymore. I leave now a few minutes to Marta to show you a quick demo of the platform.
Thank you, Alessandro, and thank you, Mike. I will share my screen here. So, as Alessandro said, this is a cloud-based platform including 3 functionalities within the same solution. The first one is the backup, the second one is the sync and share, and the third one is the file transfer. Let's start with the backup. The platform is designed for ensuring safe and secure management of your business data. As Alessandro said, it allows each user to connect an unlimited number of devices to each user account, meaning that each user can basically backup and synchronize files and folders from different machines without losing anything, and being always able to access every file and every folders from any device every time it is needed. From the backup point of view, it is possible to add here in the backup folders page all the folders needed by simply clicking on the plus button and selecting the folders that needs to be synchronized. There is no limit in terms of the number of folders that can be added to the list here. The backup functionalities allows each user to personalize at the highest level possible their backup policies, meaning that from the settings button, they can decide whether to apply a scheduled backup, meaning that they can decide the day of the week and the timing in which they want to perform the backup, or a continuous backup, which is a real-time backup, meaning that every change made to the folder entered to the list of backup folders will be sent to the cloud immediately. By choosing the backup policies from this setting button, these settings will be inherited by all the folders added to this list. But another possibility is also to further personalize these backup policies, but per single folder, meaning that even though I have 10 different folders within this list, I can decide whether to have one folder which is backed up at a certain time and another one which is backed up at a different month of the year. For example, if your sales department, for example, needs to back up some specific documents only at a certain time of the year in a specific month, or every month at a specific date, they can set per each folder entered here, which is the right backup solution for each folder. I'll show you briefly here by clicking on the button. They can select the custom settings and decide whether to have for that specific folder an easy backup, which is performed every day at the time chosen by the user, or a continuous backup, or a scheduled backup, which can be scheduled per day, per week, or even per month. deciding the month and the exact moment of the year in which that specific file, that specific folder needs to be backed up. And as Alessandro said, we support an unlimited file versioning, meaning that all the files and the folders sent to the cloud in that specific moment will be kept as long as the user needs to have them in cloud for any legal requirements or for any business requirements for which they have been sent to the cloud. This is the backup. The second functionality that the platform support is the synchronization. The synchronization, is made through the sync folder, which is installed automatically here on the desktop, where basically the only thing that the user needs to do is to drag and drop their files and their folders within this synchronization folder, and they will be sent immediately to the cloud, not only to the web portal that they can access, but also they will be synchronized with all the devices connected to their license, meaning that if I have worked on a project, for example, using my laptop, the laptop that I use at work, I can have the same file with the latest changes synchronized also on my computer that I have at home, so that the user can always access the files with the latest versions from anywhere. For example, I can drag and drop this folder here, and all the content of this folder is synchronized with all my devices and with the web portal. Talking about security, you can see the list of files being transferred here, so it is instant. From a security point of view, every file which is backed up or synchronized can be always restored. Restore functionalities can be done massively, so by restoring an entire device using this button, or through the web portal, you can access the time machine feature, which allows each user to select the specific file that they need to restore at that specific version that they need. By starting a restore process from the client's application, I can choose the device. As you can see here, I have all the devices connected to my my personal account here, and I can decide which device I want to restore. By choosing one, I can move the time bar here up to the moment in which I need to restore all my content, meaning that if a hacker hit my computer or my computer was stolen or for any reason, I can go back in time up to the precise moment in which my file were safe, even for a matter of seconds or minutes. As you can see here, the time bar moves also for seconds and for minutes. After choosing the date range, I will see all the folders here, and I can click on restore. By clicking on restore, I will have a new folder on the desktop, or I can of course change the destination folder location. And on that folder, I will see all the content of this device restored at that specific moment that I chose here by choosing the date on the time bar. Same thing can be done using the web portal here, where basically I can access all the devices that I have connected to my account, and of course the web device, which is the sync folder that I see on my laptop. Here there is also the time machine functionality. I need to log in again, because for a security reason, login must be done every 15 minutes. Okay, so by accessing my web portal, I can access all the files that I have synchronized here in the web device section, or of course I can access all the files that I have backed up by choosing the laptop or the computer or the mobile that I have backed up. And from the time machine feature, I can go back in time per single device by choosing the exact time here where I want to go back, and download from here the exact version of each file which I need to restore without losing any version, any document at any time. Another functionality is the sharing functionality. Sharing functionality comes with the within the synchronization folder, meaning that I can share some specific folders with my colleagues or with other people, with my clients, if I need to share some important documents, or if I need to share, for example, a very heavy file without using third-party tools. If I want to share a folder, I can just click on the folder and share it. Here, I just need to enter the name of the user with whom I want to share the folder, and I can assign to each single user different permissions, read, write, and delete, read and write, or read only. The folder shared with this user will be synchronized within the sync folder that each user has on their own device. That means that different users can work on the same folder from different workstations, so from different platforms, from different computers, or access them also by their mobile. Or I can even share one folder or many folder or even files here through the link bucket. Link bucket enables the user to create a link, a dynamic link, which I can create and send to my clients, for example, or to other people who are outside my company. And I am always sure that I will get the latest version of all the files and the folders which makes part of this link, because the link updates automatically every time I made a change to the content which I shared through the link. Moreover, this link can be protected, meaning that only people who has an active account can access that content. Or I can even set an expiration date at the exact date of the year that I need. And after that expiration date, the link will not be accessible anymore. Another component which is very useful to mention here is that every group can be managed by a single admin. As you can see here, there is the admin portal. The portal that I have just shown you is the user portal, so the standard features that every user will access. But of course, each group of users will have an admin who will manage the number of users that can be created, the number of users that can be deleted, or even by creating different subgroups. I will briefly show you also the admin portal here. So, if my company has different departments or different offices located all over the territory, as an admin, I can create different subgroups, and each allocating to each subgroups different quota of storage, which I can manage from here. And each subgroups will have an admin who will manage their own users and so on. So the architecture is completely flexible, and there is no limit in terms of the subgroups that can be created. And even here, the flexibility is at its maximum level. Of course, if you have any questions about the product, about all the themes that we have been through during this session, feel free to ask or simply to write on the chat box, and we will be more than happy to answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marta. Thank you, Alexandro, and thank you, Michael. That was a very insightful section, I must say. Thank you, everyone, for joining and tuning in. We have come to the end of the webinar, but before we leave, I would like to share some information with everybody. So, like I said earlier on, if you're not already following us on social media, kindly do so. And if you have questions, please, you can raise your hand to ask, and I'll give you permission to unmute yourself, or you can simply just type in your question in the chat box. Okay, anybody, do you have questions? Okay, I see someone, Mr. Abu. All right, you can unmute yourself, sir. Please go on. Hello, Mr. Abu. Or you can type in the chat box. Okay, any other person? Does anyone have questions to ask? Mr. Abu, you still have your hand raised. If you have a question, please unmute yourself and ask. Okay. I guess maybe he's having some technical difficulties.
Ruth, there is I can see his message there in the chat.
Oh, okay.
The message is yeah. Okay.
I've seen it too.
The
So he said
message
he would
is,
like to know the price list.
sure. Do you want to, as a partner, share like a
Yes,
generic
yes,
price
of
book
course.
with, yeah, okay,
With
and the
him,
different
yes.
packages, etc. Might also be handy to know that you can at any time book a demo with Team Ha-Shem, and one of us or one of our sales engineers to book an individual demo and go to individual cases that you might deal with your business today, right?
Yes, yes. So our marketing team would actually reach out to you, Mr. Abu, would reach out to you, and we'll share the price list with you. And of course, if you're interested in an individual demo section, a private demo section for yourself or for your team, we would be glad to walk you through that. Thank you very much for your question. Okay, I see the email address you dropped. Thank you very much. We will do that. You hear from us. So any other question? Do we have any other question? So do you offer storage space between? Yes, exactly. Like we said during the I think Michael said during the presentation, Babylon Cloud is a product that comes with unlimited file storage, unlimited data storage. So yes, that's possible. Mr. Ayodeji, thank you for your question.
Yeah, so we offer different packages, and for every package, there's an X amount of users. We can also customize packages, but we also have a baseline of different packages. So if you want to know about individual packages for your company, just shoot over an email. Hey, look, we have this and this, so many users, and we can give you a quotation for that. All right.
Yes. You can send an email to marketing@hashem.com, and of course, like Michael just said, would send a quotation over to you. So do I have any other questions? We still have time. Okay. Pricing of usage, like, or is it free? Oh, Mr. Kayode, we just answered that question a few minutes ago. The Babylon Cloud platform is not free. There's a price attached to it. So if you're interested, we would reach out to you, or you can send us an email at marketing@hashem.com. Yes, to get the quotation.
Might be a good point to mention here as well. So obviously it's not free, but we do offer trials where you can easily try it out. And obviously we pride ourselves on our customer support. So during that trial, you can also test out our customer support. Not only your product, it's also the people who support that product and you in the end, right? So yes, we do have trials available. So we're happy to facilitate whoever wants to start a trial and try it out.
Hey, Michael, I think there's another question. He says, it's from the same Mr. Kayode. He says, what level of redundancy for business continuity is built around your cloud storage?
So, Ruth, I will give an answer to Mr. Kayode. We have several levels of redundancy. The first level is about the storage itself. In order to lose data, we should have, we are fault tolerant to 5 faults, and we should have 6 faults at one single time to lose data. Historically, we have only 1 at the same time, and we usually are able to solve any first or second fault within very little time. So the level of redundancy is very significant. You can maybe the best in class overall the best practices in the world are usually about the triple copy, which are tolerant to up to 2 faults, while we are tolerant to up to 5 faults. At the level of servers, faults will never imply a destruction of data, and still we usually have up to 4 copies of the same servers to keep services active at any time, meaning every higher level infrastructure of Babylon Cloud, we have several spread in the world. Every single Babylon Cloud infrastructure comes with a minimum redundancy of 4 core servers, which usually come to work together to bring additional computational power. But in case of loss of 1 server, the remaining one keep working without any problem, and we are able to suffer up to 3 faults without interrupting services. The infrastructure redundant at any level, also on the network layers, and they are built like a net. Just imagine you lose one of the knots in the net, you are still able to connect to the rest of all the knots within the net. And at all the layers, each point in the layers of the infrastructure are connected to each one in the upper layer and the lower layer, so that the overall infrastructure is very redundant. And this is how it works. And the result of this is that during the last 12 months, the most relevant the infrastructures we have had the total downtime of 60 minutes, and they were due to temporary faults of the overall infrastructure, the data center where we are. The first one was 25 minutes, second one was 35 minutes. In all these cases, actually, since the clients are themselves highly resilient and they connect back to the server infrastructure without human interventions, the clients didn't even figure out there was a momentary downtime, and the client applications at the end of the downtime were already connecting themselves again without human intervention back to the servers. And we had zero data loss in our full history. We started working in as the infrastructure it is now in 2017, and from that point on, we lost zero files.
Thank you so much, Michael. Someone's hand has been raised. Mr. Adekunle, please unmute yourself and go ahead to ask your question, sir. Hello, Mr. Adekunle. We are ready for you, sir. You can go ahead to ask your question. Kindly unmute your mic if you're muted. Or you can go ahead to ask your question in the chat box. Hello, Mr. Adekunle. Okay. He has sent his question to the chat box. He says, hi, dear Ha-Shem. Thank you for this. Sorry, I learnt about it very little. I joined towards the end. I'll be glad if you could please avail me the recorded version. Oh, we are sorry to hear that, Mr. Adekunle. Of course, the recorded version will be made available for everyone to go back and rewatch. Yes, so that will be sent to your email, sir.
Yes, and in addition, as I mentioned, individual demos, no problem to provide this as well to you.
Yes, thank you, Michael.
And Ruth, if I can add one more thing, Alessandro, again, in case any of the people who came here, in case they think they have additional questions later when the webinar is over, please feel free to forward them to us. We will be happy to answer in written so that you can send all the answers and the questions and the answers to everybody even later.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We've exceeded our time. I don't know if anybody still has a question. I think somebody's hand is raised. Oh, still Mr. Adekunle. We've sorted that out. So in the absence of any more questions or contributions, I would like to thank everyone once again for joining us in today's webinar. Like the Babylon Cloud team has rightly said, we are available for individual demo sections if you're interested. Yes, or if you would like for us to send our prize list, we would be glad to do that. If you have any questions or you would like to make further inquiries after this call, you can send your inquiries or your comments to sales@hashem.com, and we would gladly answer you. If you've not filled out the evaluation form, kindly do so now. It's in the chat box. There's a link there. You just follow the link and it won't take time. It's just a very short evaluation form. That is for us to be able to serve you better. And a replay of this webinar, a recording of this webinar will be sent to, will be made available to everyone. It will be on our YouTube channel and the link will be sent to everybody via email. So you can always have real-time access to it. On that note, I'll be drawing the curtains on today's webinar. Michael, I don't know, do you have any final words for our guests, our participants today?
Sure. Thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate it very much. I hope this was a learnful session. Again, any questions, our team is happy to answer them. We're happy to provide you with trials, individual demos. Yeah, so thank you very much for your time today.
Yes. All
And
right.
also Ruth and Team Ha-Shem, thank you very much for facilitating this webinar.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Marta. Thank you, Senya. Thank you, Shion. So it's a wrap for today.
Ruth. Thank you for the team, and thank you to all the participants.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you for showing up. We really, really appreciate your time. Um, So that's it for today. So bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye.